There had been some signs of moderation in the housing market, but clearly buying a house still a challenge for many, many people.
Yeah, there was a slight slowdown in the final 3 months of last year, but for 2022, taken in its totality, house prices continued to rise. They rose by 6%. This was some moderation on the year before, when house prices increased by 7.8%. But in a year when we saw big increases in the cost of living, we saw interest rate hikes from the European Central Bank and the war in Ukraine, there was an assumption perhaps in some quarters that we'd see a more significant moderation in house prices, that they might even plateau. And I think that was the expectation and the hope of the government this time last year, but it didn't come to pass. And now when we look at house prices for the third quarter of last year, they were running on average at 330,000, almost 8 times the average income in Ireland. And according to Conal McQuillia, chief economist at Davy, there's no sign that this is going to change in the immediate future.
They are. If you look at the Irish housing market, it's quite liquid. If you look at the average first-time buyer, they've got a very high wage, well above the average wage. So certainly, look, a lot of people are shut out of the Irish housing market. If you look at the UK, for example, the people who are buying houses are typically close to the average wage, so more people can afford to get on the housing ladder, so to speak. That's not the case in Ireland. That's not a new phenomenon. It's been here for a long time, and unfortunately, the situation isn't getting better quickly.
So as per usual, we'll be talking about the rising house price situation. It's a situation where we need to see more housing, or better housing, or more appropriate housing. Sinn Féin's housing spokesman claims that what we're seeing is an indictment of government policy.
Well, the figures aren't surprising, but they are deeply disappointing, and they're a direct result of failed government housing policy. Government is failing to deliver sufficient volume of genuinely affordable homes for working people to rent or buy, and at the same time their controversial shared equity policy is driving house prices up further. So as long as Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael remain in government, unfortunately I think this housing crisis is going to continue.
So that's the line from Sinn Féin. The government says it is doing everything it can to deliver social and affordable housing, and it points out that the Housing for All policy has only got a year under its belt and it's not a complete project yet. They point out that more houses will have been built in 2022 than at any stage over the previous decade, but critics obviously pointing out the need for more, or we will see another increase again this year. Davy expecting 4% in 2023.
All right, Paul, thank you very much for all of that.